Last summer started, of course, with the most exciting event of the SNT calendar, the season finale, which saw Matthew Weeks and Jordan Kuntz go toe-to-toe at this very circuit for 100 final laps on the 2024 A calendar. Tonight, we have returned to the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway for the second race of the 2024 B half of the schedule, and it's time to return to the Hampton, Georgia circuit, the mile-and-a-half with character galore. Saturday Night Thunder is back in action for week 2 on the calendar. I'll be your host for tonight's event. I'm David Kreutz, commentating and producing from flag to flag here as qualifying is currently on the move with 3 minutes left here in this session. North of 25 drivers have already registered, looking to try their hardest to come away with a race victory. Jordan Kuntz, for the second straight season, has won the opener. This time around, victory in Auto Club, and now it's going to be him at the top of the board and qualifying with Carter Casey up to second. Jackson Van Pelt going to be in third, and Jacob Wilkerson is in fourth. Drivers are still setting their first times on this schedule, of course, some of which coming in as brand new drivers, rookies. I think Jacob Wilkerson is due to be a notable one. We saw him at this circuit in the IORA Cup Series come away with a top 5 result. Tyler Shattuck, also brand new. Mac Grab is making his first start of the season, as are the Seiverts, and both of which, the 77 and the 40, Tyler and Roger have registered. David Tooker on the circuit as well, and Tooker came through very well last week for a top 5 finish. The front of the field, very familiar, very similar to what we saw in our previous campaign. Drivers like Daffin, Jordan Kuntz, Vinny Tigner going toe-to-toe for the positions, and looks like right now, most of which have qualified up inside of the top 10. Matthew Weeks is looking to add his name to the top 10, and it looks like now, as he comes across the line, the number 11 crew with a 32.1, 14th on the first lap, still one more lap to put in with an opportunity to continue improving. It looks like Matthew's done. He'll be 14th and starting at the tail end of the field, while David Tooker now sets himself up for an opportunity. Perhaps to go up to the top 10 on the board here. The gap between first and 10th on the order, 164 thousandths of a second from defending winner Jordan Kuntz down to Vinny Tigner. Just behind Tigner is going to be Trey Holmes returning this time around. He will be in the number 88. Scott Erickson will be in 12th. Then you see there's going to be Ben Bushnell in 13th. At the line there for David Tooker, that time will be good for 5th. He'll get back up in the top 5, albeit barely, and it's good enough now as it looks like Tyler Seaver will go on the way, and he'll be the final driver setting a qualifying lap. Mac Grab attempted. The 3 other drivers, Sabarin, Bowden, and it looks like Roger, none of which have taken to the track. So now it looks like Tyler not able to get an officially verified time in. Took the lap, but some contact, it appears, with the wall is what did him in, and so his qualifying run will conclude without any official time on the board. So 21 drivers opted to take a lap in this session, and it looks like at the top of the board it's going to be a familiar name, and of course the number 99. It's got a driver well recognized in this field, and he will grab the pole position. It's going to be Jordan Kuntz all the way on top in the number 99. He's got the pole position to kick things off here in Atlanta, and now we have 5 minutes of practice before the racing comes to fruition. Jordan Kuntz will win overall in qualifying here by a total of 8 1/1000ths of a second relative to Carter Casey. This is Casey's best qualifying run of the season, and it puts him in fierce contention to open this race up as a battle for the lead could ensue among him and the number 8s. An onslaught of drivers now decide to make their way out of pit road. And it looks like a rather popular session here. 27 drivers, and more than 10 of which immediately jumping off the pit road to get a little bit more practice in before all things are said and done and the racing begins. 100 laps on the table here. It's going to be a feature-length event for the intermediate courses, and of course, leading the way, it's going to be Jordan Kuntz. Now, taking a look above the track here, let's get to know your starting grid from top to bottom. It's a stout field, and the biggest one of the season so far, 27 make up the grouping, and at the head of the field, it'll be Jordan Kuntz inside of row number 1 with a 31.834, and it looks like only 8,000ths back, Carter Casey in his number 8. Third place going to go to Jackson Van Pelt, and today, Jacob Wilkerson, the IORA contender and Final Four competitor in the FORL Cup Series. He's made his way in as well. He will be fourth with David Tooker concluding the top 5 after a strong opening result last week. Jordan Owens is going to be in sixth with a 31.946. Henry Kaloff will be in 7th, and Alec Daffin will be position number 8 with Gino Mara, one of the rookies, right there in 9th. And to conclude the top 10, it will be, looks like, Dylan Wheeler, his best qualifying run of the campaign as well. 11th place goes to Vinny Tigner, and Trey Holmes will then in there be in 12th. Scott Erickson will be 13th with Benjamin Bushnell in 14th. Matthew Weeks, the champion, defending one at that, he'll be in 15th, and then you'll see it's going to be the number 43, just behind Tyler Curley in 16th. Then Jamie McKinney, 17th. Connor Asbell going to be 18th spot. Kenneth Gurrell, 19th. And Dana Van Meter, the 20th and final driver in this top 20 grouping. You're going to have to go a little bit further back to see another rookie, and Tyler Shattuck, the number 5, right beside the 53, Mac Grab in 22nd. It looks like now it's going to be James Bowden and Shane Wielden alongside each other, 23rd and 24th for the Hurricane Esports driver. Then Roger and Tyler Seabear are going to be in row 13, leaving Curtis Sabarin, the final and 27 drivers in the starting grid tonight here from the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. Kuntz with the pole position, and he will be able to lead the field to green here in Georgia. 2 minutes left in this practice session, and time is running out for that extra preparation necessary for this event. Right now, Mac Grab going to have the quickest of all times. Then Matthew Weeks is going to be in second, so for the time being, not really representative of the success that some drivers saw in qualifying, but getting the extra opportunity to just settle in and understand what's necessary lap in, lap out. Preparation going to be diligent tonight for all those in the field, and it looks like now Matthew Weeks going to be there in second, Dylan Wheeler third, and Jacob Wilkerson in fourth. Wilkerson starting fourth tonight is a driver you have to look out for, running for Storm Sim Performance here in the number 42. The most important thing to understand is his experience at this track with some of the best in the Xfinity Series circuit. He's raced against drivers such as Jim Thurston, River Page, Chase Schaefer, and all those who compete at the high level of the IORA Cup Series, and the top half of that league is stout week in, week out. We've seen Coach Series drivers come in and try their hand, and in all honesty, the regulars week after week have been able to hold their own even with such a high level of competition. So keep your eyes peeled for what's going to happen with Jacob Wilkerson tonight, as he might be able to give these regulars of SNT action a run for their money. We'll see whether or not it comes to that point, but for now, it looks like that's all it will be. The regulars against the rookies, some of which coming in for their second career race, and a few of which going in for their very first, and all those from last season on back have returned again to make this a 27 driver field, big enough to stack a majority of the grid up. And it looks like right now, final 15 seconds of this session, and at the head of the field will be the number 53 of Mac Grab. He's the quickest in this final warm-up, and it's going to be Grab with the fast time, a 31.816. And hypothetically speaking, Mac would have been able to get himself up onto the pole position with that time, as would Matthew Weeks have been able to with his, which is only 1/100th of a second behind. So Grab with the fastest single lap time so far in this session as a whole, as we conclude final practice. The iRacing official pace car takes to the starting grid. Jordan Kuntz, the leader in the number 99. You'll see him right there. And it looks like now, running again, of course, with that backing from Premier, They did a great job, of course, getting that first victory the first time Jordan ran this car, and now all expectations are to go for another podium finish, if not another win, to open up the season. Kuntz, no stranger to the dominant starts in any championship running here in SNT. The back-to-back champion, only seeing his championship streak broken last season here at this very circuit, is looking to come back with a little bit of vengeance on his mind. Maybe not against Matthew Weeks necessarily, but of course looking to flip the script and find success here in Atlanta that he missed out on. He risked an awful lot that night. It came down to an alternate tire strategy. He decided to take two, jump up ahead of Matthew Weeks, and in a two-lap shootout, Matthew was just barely able to get by, and that's what determined the championship. So Kuntz, now once again, no longer the defending champion, and instead he will be working from, perhaps you can say, the bottom up now. His first ever championship defeat in this league, and now he's looking to get up to victory. 27 is the field, and they're all lined up down the front straightaway here from end to end. It looks like now Carter Casey lines up alongside Jordan Kuntz, as does the majority of the pack. Further on behind, Kuntz is going to lead the field to the green flag here, and let's talk a little bit more about strategy while we have the time. Weather overall tonight going to be relatively mild for the fans anyway, 70-degree ambient temperature, but a track temp coming up hot at about 119 degrees with relative humidity hitting at about 40%. It won't be an easy track to navigate tonight, but it looks like drivers should be able to manage without having to worry excruciatingly about those tires. North winds bound at 1 mile an hour, and a partly cloudy sky sets the tone for a lot of sunshine coverage and maybe a little of that cloudiness in between. Tire sets to mention 4 is the limit, plus what you start with on your car here. So these drivers will have to acknowledge that you cannot overdo it on pit road as the field gets out of its starting formation. And now it's time to see who's got what it takes here in Atlanta. Just one more lap of pacing to finish the job here, of course, for the iRacing pace car and give life again to Kuntz and Carter Casey up top. For Jordan Kuntz, he's once again an independent driver in this field, collecting a championship with Shaw Racing, not able to replicate the job last season, and now looking to do it on his lonesome as Alec Daffin made the switch to Shaw Racing, and we saw that playing out last week. Carter Casey coming in for a full-time season, his first of the year. Overall, looking to show more impressive highlights week in and week out. Tonight, of course, he has the opportunity to break through fully and show the field exactly what he's made of. Jacob Wilkerson and Jackson Van Pelt, both of which not having a victory in this series just yet. Van Pelt's been amazing at Atlanta so far. I would say this is the best track of his career. He's got multiple top 10 runs and top 5s at that, but he'll have to beat the two-time former champ for the opportunity to go for the gold. Green flag gonna fly here in Atlanta, and Jordan Kuntz will lead the way as drivers head through the first 2 turns. Yellow flag is immediately out. Yellow flag for multiple cars, and there's the number 52. It looks like James Bowden. Caution is out. Let's take a look back here and figure out why as we go all of 100 and some feet, shades of last season, and a lap 1 yellow flag. And the most common time for this series to have those incidents or cautions at all, it's come down to the last or first segment of laps, namely lap 1. Now, it looks like a checkup involving Matthew Weeks. Then coming up the track is Scott Erickson, and as Scott comes up, multiple drivers pile in, and there's the number 51 getting a piece, Jamie McKinney, in addition to the number 57 of Kenneth Gurrell, the 5 of Tyler Shattuck. Does he get away from it? It looks like, yes, he does, and it looks like Tyler and Roger do too. Shane Wielden just barely making it out as well, but a multi-car incident, including but not limited to James Bowden, Scott Erickson, Jamie McKinney, it looks like getting a piece of potentially a few other drivers, Kenneth Gurrell for one, and the yellow flag is out. For the first time tonight, caution will fly to open up the racing here in Atlanta. So, now as drivers make their way through, you can see a majority of the pack not able to connect themselves to leaders just yet, and we are single file pacing with the majority of the field opting not to go down a pit road. It looks like for the time being, there's Roger, and then there's number 77, Tyler going to be right within his confines, and it looks like now, see there, Tyler, Roger going to be split apart. There's the number 40 machine dropping to the inside, and he's one of the few that have already decided to head down a pit road, making his way in. That's going to be only about a 2-lap stint, and he just had to come down through. Overall, that's some big trouble to keep in mind, because now most of these drivers, of course, no push to pass. This is not going to be open wheel racing, but stints do matter. And as you can see at the front of the field, it looks like 23 drivers have not gone down a pit road. Bowden, McKinney, and it looks like Roger Siver and Erickson, Scott Erickson at that, have gone down a pit road. So 4 drivers have gone in. Rest of the field has decided not to, and it leaves Carter Casey now with the lead, as it looks like he got the better jump out of the opening 100 or so feet, and now has the opportunity to effectively start on the pole position, just getting that nice launch. One lap to green this time by. Going to be Carter Casey, Jordan Kuntz, the 1-2 order. Jacob Wilkerson going to be in third, and Jackson Van Pelt there in fourth. Jordan Owens is in fifth with Dave Tooker in sixth, and Alec Daffin's going to be seventh with Henry Kaloff there in eighth. It looks like right now the top 10 concluded by Gino Marrow and Dylan Wheeler. Overall, the biggest movers so far. Let's take a look at who's who, the highest of which it looks like so far. You'd have to look a little bit further back from 16th to 14th, Tyler Curley, and nobody else making substantial maneuvers. Perhaps Tyler Seaver, he's gone from 26th up to 22nd, but if you started inside the top 10, you remain in the top 10. That's the way it's gone so far. So we will come back green with 95 laps, or give or take, on the table as we go to restart at lap 5. Green flag due to fly. It looks like now Carter Casey opting up to the top here, and it's going to be Jordan Kuntz right down low. Green flag going to be given to the hands of the number 8 this time around, and as Carter is going to be the control car for the first time tonight, it looks like he prefers where he started to begin with. Green flag is out yet again. Jordan Kuntz gives it a dead even launch, and the field gets away. Casey in the wall. Carter Casey's going to go up in the wall. No caution, but Carter is destroyed. Gets out of the way immediately. Rest of the field gets away. 3 wide now. It's going to be Henry Kaloff and company, but Carter Casey, what just happened? From race leader to race over. Maybe not race over in specific, but major trouble there on the right side for Carter Casey, in the back end too. We're taking a look back now because it looks like Casey gets destroyed on the restart. Was there any reason? And you can see that massive stack up there. David Tooker, Jacob Wilkerson, Matthew Weeks all flying by, and Carter ends up in the wall. Luckily, nobody else gets involved. He does not bounce down, but clearly something wrong there for the number 99 crew. Of course, Jordan Kuntz having to get away from it, and the number 8 of Carter Casey has to come down a pit road, whereas the field is now going to be flying by, and they are due to put Carter 1 lap down, and there they are. Here's Jordan Kuntz now leading the way. He's got Jacob Wilkerson right behind him as we move on to lap number 7. Jacob Wilkerson going to make it a 1-2 fight up at the head of the field. Jackson Van Pelt is going to be just a little bit further back, because now Jordan Owens is up into third, and you'll see him give or take a half second back right now on the drivers ahead, the big 2 drivers who have made that move and gotten out in front. Looks like now Alec Daffin going to be inside of the top 5. He's there in 4th. Not a bad start for him, nor David Tooker, both of which now have been able to get themselves up and ahead, as you see some side-by-side battling a little bit further back, particularly with Dylan Wheeler. And Dylan on the best run of his season so far, perhaps the best run of the year. He clearly has that top 10 pace tonight, at least to kick things off. And so he stays on the inside now of Jackson Van Pelt, and hanging it low, going to be just ahead of Henry Kaloff. Henry deciding to keep it, give or take a car length behind. That's all he'll have to worry about right now, As you can see, Dylan staying to the bottom, and Jackson Van Pelt holding fort up top. Neck and neck at the line, going to make it lap number 9 for the majority of the field now. In the opening stint, going to see a little bit of trouble. Carter Casey now going to be out in his zone more than a lap down, whereas he might go 2. Now it's going to be Jordan Kuntz and company making their way in and pulling into the picture yet again. Alec Daffin and David Tooker, they're both going to be separate by give or take about a tenth of a second here. And you can see here, Daffin, he is going to be overall in 5th. Falling down and giving Tooker that position, Jackson Van Pelt gets by Dylan Wheeler. And that's the way they roll so far in the opening of this event. Now, 10 laps on the table out of 100 so far. 50 is when we expect to see pit road get rather busy, as drivers are going to come in for potentially their one and only pit stop. Jamie McKinney in the number 51 just rolled out of pit road, and the lapper decides to immediately jump up with the leaders of the field, and Kaloff is going to have to move up top, and Jamie giving him that room on the high side, but not making it easy down low, and so they glide right by the number 51, and it looks like now it's going to be Vinny Tigner trying to find an opportunity to make his move around as well. Vinny, just the last night, was competing for $250 in a race at Daytona, the Xfinity Series cars utilized on the iRacing platform, and he was up against some stout competition, racing against some members past and present of this league, including Carter Casey, and both of which were en route to top 10 runs before chaos ensued. Eventually, Zach Novak came out with the victory in that one, but Vinny, showing his strength at those bigger circuits yet again, just couldn't quite make it work out, as it became a very chaotic event with north of 10 yellow flags and more than 25 drivers of 60 registered involved in incidents such as cautions or anything of that sort. So for Vinny, he was bound to unfortunately get into that incident some way or another, but now he's looking to get some points paying victories. That's the big thing on his mind, and for the time being, he's going to be running in 11th. It looks like getting into 10th, and Matthew Weeks going to be just behind him as we see the string of drivers here to open up this race, getting single file once again. All the while, Jordan Kuntz is slowly but surely beginning to stretch out his advantage. So for Jordan Kuntz, he's led the majority of this event, of course giving away that race lead to Carter Casey involuntarily. Not the way he wanted to kick things off, but with Casey making his own mistake, looks like Jordan is once again in the clear. Doesn't have to worry about all too much for the time being, and as he has this advantage now, he's just got to make sure he doesn't shred those tires, because if there's one thing that Jacob Wilkerson keeps a watch on, very similar to Jordan Kuntz, both of them are not going to play around when it comes to always managing tire. And of course, Jordan Kuntz was able to use that to his advantage last week in Auto Club, but it's a completely different game here in Fontana, of course, to Atlanta. It's nothing like one another, except for the fact you're taking these things for left turns. It's a completely different style. Auto Club, a much wider circuit, higher speed overall, and while these drivers are getting up to north of 175 miles an hour, doesn't necessarily mean they're doing the exact same thing. And let's take a look right now overhead of the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway and show you exactly what we're talking about here. This circuit has been in operation for more than 5 decades. In this current configuration, it's only been for 20 odd years until becoming a miniature super speedway in 2021 to 2022. However, from 1996 on, the configuration we're using today has been present. Now, tonight, unfortunately, we're not using what's seen in the real world, but it is an iconic version of Atlanta. Instead of mini super speedway style racing, it's an intermediate. We like to describe it as one with character, because these drivers never have it easy at this track, even of course if they'd like to. It comes down to the bumps and ridges up and down on the circuit that every driver has to navigate with finesse, even of course if it gives them a little bit of a headache. Nothing more you can do without it, but deal with it. Looks like David Tooker going to be out of this race due to internet connection troubles, and that's going to be bad news for the number 19 crew as he falls out from the top 5. That will give Alec Daffin a position to get up to 4th. Dylan Wheeler is still fighting up there, and it looks like Dylan is now up into 5th, trying to make it around the Lapburn and Jamie McKinney. However, Jamie has new rubber and decides to make it even harder as the number 51 gets immediately right by Wheeler, and now Henry Callum going to be looking just behind, hoping to find an opportunity, looking for room, and it still isn't clear. Whether or not now Henry Kaloff has the chance to pass remains to be seen, but he'll stay right in tow with the number 22 of Dylan Wheeler. Henry tonight starting in 7th, up 1 position. Dylan Wheeler going to be up 5 so far from 10th to 5th. And even though, of course, we've seen a lot from Dylan Wheeler, having more than a season of experience, it looks like tonight he's done something he hasn't often done. Straight up drive up in front of the field. He's gone from 10th up to 5th, and not only having that great qualifying pace, but it looks like instead tonight, he's also got the race pace to prove it. He was, of course, battling with Henry Kaloff just a few laps ago. And now again, it looks like he battled and got the advantage. Question is, how long can he hold it? Let's ride on board right now with Dylan Wheeler and see exactly what he's doing inside the cockpit to find such success early on. And right now, all 4th gear. You can see the driver telemetry here. He's not been shifting gears in the slightest. However, mile-an-hour variation of about 30 throughout the lap, getting up to 180 down the straightaways and going down to about mid-140s when he's going to be going through those turns and letting the throttle pull back all the way. Through officially 3 and 4, he only gets down to about 155, but all these turns are not equal. You have to take them all in slightly different manner, which is why you might see some variation in speed from lap to lap and turn to turn. So Dylan Wheeler doing exactly what he must, and these drivers are very, very close to one another. You can see here, further on back, there's Matthew Weeks. How about we see these drivers later in the field? There's the number 17 machine, or the 55 rather, and also the 77. These are some of the drivers we've seen previously, and notably Ben Bushnell going down to the inside on Tyler Seabear here, and it looks like Ben gonna have a nicer run through the entry of the corner, maybe even with a chance to stick it here, and it looks like he'll try to use that in his advantage. Doesn't quite work out so far, side by side. And just ahead of these two is another very close battle, and we'll see it here involving Trey Holmes. Trey falling a little bit further back from his qualifying position to 12th, and it looks like, once again, Trey struggling with that longer run speed. Only 23 laps in so far, and yet he's fallen admittedly backwards, and now you're going to see the Michigan State number 72 of Connor Asbill. And just ahead, Mac Grab. Mac going to be with Gino Marrow, and additionally there, the number 5, Tyler Shattuck. Tyler is up the most of all drivers. He's gone from 21st up to 11th. Great job so far, cutting through the majority of the field and now making it up beyond the midway, and instead getting up into that upper portion, nearly a quarter of the way through, and Tyler doing a fantastic job now, making his way down, barreling through the back straightaway, and admittedly so far, the question becomes, maybe what can he do to go even further? And success looks like it's already coming to this number 5 team at the tail end of the field in qualifying, but instead of trying to go a little bit over aggressive, it looks like he's found that healthy balance. Although Gino Marrow now looking to the outside and then in, and it looks like now Gino going to take it through with a lot more power down low, and that should be enough to make it 3 wide, because take a look at this. Trey Holmes goes under, and cutting deep is only going to make it 3 wide now with Mac Grab. Mac stays right there in tow with the number 71. Can't quite work out. out. Instead, Tyler Shattuck again gets ahead by about a car length once more. He only had to do something, and one thing in fact, run up top to stay where he was, while everyone else is going to be rather aggressive trying to make their way around. Looks like right now Tyler Shattuck is staying calm, and that's been the key to his success in making these positions up even on a relatively unstable surface such as the one you see here in Atlanta. Dylan Wheeler going to be just ahead still of Henry Kaloff, and take a look at Tyler Curley. Curley going to be up overall 6 positions on the day so far. That's his 7th. So Tyler up now into the 9th position as he gets by Henry Kaloff, one of our additional and biggest movers. And while Tyler Shattuck overall holds the credit so far for the hardest of chargers, it looks like Tyler has a little bit of competition here with, of course, the other Tyler. Both of which, the Tylers, have been moving up through the pack and quick. Let's see what else they can do here as the race goes on. Only the opening quarter, and yet they are making big waves as Vinny Tigner now going to go toe-to-toe with Jackson Van Pelt. Vinny gonna find some room, take it down to the inside. He's got the bottom groove now beginning to work its magic, and he's gonna have to see, of course, whether or not Jackson Van Pelt will give. Jackson gives room, doesn't give all too much else, and now gonna tuck even lower here. Vinny Tigner trying to take it down all the way to that white paint. To no avail so far, only to see the 07 once again get out of the picture. 28 laps in out of 100. Jordan Kuntz has only been slightly extending his race lead, but I'll tell you this much. No signs of losing time. He is out and ahead, and it looks like that's the way things will stay, unless he is to make a mistake on his own accord. It looks like the majority of the field is settled in quite nicely. David Tooker, the only retiree as it stands, and the rest of the field been able to continue going. You can see from the mid-pack and even further on back, drivers are still going at it. 21 on the lead lap, going back to Shane Wheeldon. And so 29 laps in out of 100 here. Clear as day now that the field is in a good position to go along. Rather than getting multiple yellow flags, it looks like once again a case of that one and done circumstance. Now for Carter Casey, that's going to be terrible for him because of course he's out and alone, and his night has been practically ruined based on that one and only restart we've got. So Carter right now going to be running on 24th, 1 lap down from 2nd on the grid. He's lost the most position of any driver. Yeah, it's bad news for him, and he's going to have to stay the way he is, of course, if he wants any chance to progress, staying 1 lap down and maybe try to get up to that lucky dog category, if there's anything for him left here. Jordan Kuntz is going to be pretty far back now, so Carter has stretched the gap there. But in all honesty, doesn't mean too much because he's still going to need to catch up to Roger, who's just ahead of him, and Scott Erickson, both of which have a lot of track position advantage on him that currently he's just going to have to recover only through long green flag running. And 31 laps in out of 100, we have 70 remaining. I don't know if 70 is enough to get that perfect opportunity, even if he claws back on them. He'll be very far back at the tail end of the field on the lead lap, let alone if he gets there. So while Jordan Kuntz continues to claw away at those laps, one of his former race-winning contenders, well, he's going to be wishing on a star for maybe a chance to do it all over again and potentially battle for the win in a very similar fashion. Kuntz right now going to be now more than 3/10 of a second ahead. That's the gap that was a few laps ago, but as you see right now for Jacob Wilkerson's telemetry, he has been overall net losing time. Last 4 laps will show you a decay of about 1/10 of a second relative to where Jordan was previously, and he just lost 1/10 of a second on that lap alone. So Jacob in a little bit of trouble perhaps with respect to gaining time and perhaps moving up there on Jordan. And so now, maybe in jeopardy of even going 1 second behind Jordan Kuntz, which might not sound like a terrible gap, but of course, with the way that Jordan has been driving consistently all throughout his career, 1 second is almost akin to a death sentence in a battle. Vinny Tigner coming up again now on Jackson Van Pelt. It looks like Dylan Wheeler now going to be behind the both of which, and so Dylan's gains are down to only 2 drivers, and here comes Vinny Tigner once again cutting to the inside, and He's going to make it happen once again, but to no avail. No chance at maybe gaining a position. I think instead he's just going to find himself waiting and lying back. And the goal, of course, is to be whether or not he can get by Jackson Van Pelt in a matter of time. There's Jamie McKinney right up top, and it looks like now for Jamie, the number 51 team going down another lap. He was put a lap down, give or take 10 laps ago. Now he's 3 laps under the leader's bar, and it looks like the quota for Jamie will not be filled today. Another instance of the number 51 falling out of the lead battle, as here comes Henry Kaloff. Now coming up again on Dylan Wheeler. Dylan decided to go up top and do some of that passive defending, which has been oh so successful so far. And it works out once again. Not being all too aggressive, but it looks like instead waiting for a few more laps perhaps to pounce. 36 laps in out of 100, expecting the opportunity to be at lap number 50 for the halfway pit stop cycle. And once we head down and in, that will do it for strategy. Now Trey Holmes looking for an opportunity to cut deep and cut low. Trey now going to be 2 spots up on his qualifying position, and he's been all over the track so far. With respect to placement, he was as low as 17th, and this is the highest he's been all night long now. Maybe looking for a chance to get up inside of the top 10 and go even further. How about this for Trey Holmes, a driver we last caught up to when he was in 15th. 17th now, and doing a fantastic job, of course, of making his way into the picture, and now looking for a chance to cut 3 wide. He's got it low. Dylan Wheeler's got it in the middle. Henry Kaloff right up top, side by side, and Trey Holmes can't do anything of it, but he gets close, and he's now showing that signal that he might be good to go in case a battle comes into play. It looks like now another battle that just simmered down. Dana Van Meter falls into 18th. James Bowden right now going to be getting away from Curtis Sabarin. However, Curtis here does have a few drivers he's got to work with. There's Shane Wheeldon. These are the final 2 drivers on the lead lap who are battling each other for net 20th. Right now for Curtis Sabarin, he finds himself at the 20th spot. Looks like he's got the advantage over Shane Wheeldon out of Hurricane Esports' 2-car crew. It looks like tonight Patrick Gentner not going to be with the 98 crew, and it looks like instead it's going to be Shane up and alone in the field. Doing a good job so far, just maintaining his lead lap status, which has gotten him up a few positions, 4 as a matter of fact, and attrition has played a big deal in how this race has gone through. So for Shane, it's a good thing that he's just stayed on the lead lap and remain consistent. In some cases, that's about the best thing you can do, and so far that is exactly what he has done. Not having to worry about much else here, but continuing his battle. And it looks like that patience will allow him to prevail. So far, doing a real good job of just keeping himself in the mix. Meanwhile, we look further up in the front. Trey Holmes is going to be once again with Henry Kaloff, but Trey ever so slightly up on the wall. Can't quite get there and has to wait for another chance here as he goes up high through turn 2. Now coming out of the way, it looks like Trey Holmes moves up into 9th for the first time in the single digits, and Henry Kaloff is going to lie back as Trey continues to pounce, chasing down Dylan Wheeler. This will be the fight for 8th, if of course Trey can get there. Trey Holmes now going to be looking just about a car length away from getting through on Dylan Wheeler. As they go into turn 1, going to be side by side. The closing rate as quick as it can be. It looks like now Trey moving down low. He's going to keep himself under, and as they come through the back straight, Trey Holmes in the wall, and Holmes will keep the position only to have Henry Kaloff go for it. There goes Shane McKinney down and under, and Kaloff gets 2 positions in 1 pass, and it's a bargain for the 63 as he doubles up on his advantage, and now Henry Kaloff gets away. He will be now in 8th as Jacob Wilkerson fights side by side here with Jordan Kuntz. Wilkerson's been waiting north of 40 laps for the opportunity opportunity, and now it looks like Kuntz is going to be fighting down on the back straight to take the lead right back. Kuntz is now going to be perhaps staying toe-to-toe, waiting for a chance to get through with powerful momentum in the final two corners. 3 and 4 usually fares better for the driver on the higher side, and so Jacob Wilkerson going to have to acknowledge that, as there is Kuntz right there wheel to wheel. But for the first time all race long, Jacob Wilkerson is the overall leader, and he's got himself now cutting to the bottom side, and there he is. Wilkerson is due to lead the field to pit road, tentatively speaking anyway, at advantage in his favor, as Jordan Kuntz now drops into second. Let's see now what Wilkerson can do. Two drivers have recently retired, and notably Kenneth Gurrell, Tyler Shannock, both of which are going to be out of the way. Matthew Weeks right now going to be from 15th to 4th, the biggest mover on the day so far, and he is the hard charger now with 11 positions to his name. What a race it's been so far for Matthew Weeks. So the question becomes, what can be done now for Weeks to maybe take it up to the next level? He's only now 2 seconds behind the battle for the race lead, and it looks like closing in on both Jordan Owens and Jordan Kuntz. And the Jordans right now, while they're both in the podium, it's like Matthew Weeks might have a chance to maybe change that. Alec Daffin remains just behind in the 5th position. How about we ride on board right now with Alec Daffin and see what he's got going on as he's in the midst of the battle to maybe enter the podium. Daffin now going to be closing in at just about a 0.2 of a second gap between he and Matthew Weeks. Overall, the gaps in this race, the majority of which are going to be spread out by more than half a second, very few of which are shorter, and right now of those in the top 10, these are the 2 closest drivers. Alec Daffin going to be now gaining in more and more as he runs down the back straightaway. It looks like he's going to find himself just behind Matthew Weeks, gap between both of which within 2 car lengths. The final stretch, of course, going to be coming up very, very soon. The opportunity in hand for Alec Daffin, his first podium of the season, and already looking to have a much better start than he did last season. The opportunity, of course, that we saw for Alec Daffin to return to Shaw Racing did not come without a reason. Of course, for Daffin, he ran independently last season, and he had himself some successful races and podium finishes and all. However, the opening to his season was abysmal. I mean, Daytona, he had connection trouble, dropped out from the top 10, and he was all but done for. And then from there, well, we moved on to another race at Watkins Glen, and he was wrecked out rather quickly, and that ended his night just like that. Now, as we continue racing on, Alec Daffin, of course, has seen better results more consistently. He's always been one of the better drivers in this series, and even as the competition level has increased more and more and more, Alec Daffin prevails, and he finds himself now going down to the inside on number 11 of Matthew Weeks. Daffin looking low now on Matthew Weeks, who has definitely used up his tire in an effort to make it all the way around the circuit and perhaps be more competitive. So with the given now is a few drivers might be rushing down to pit road for the first time tonight. We can see a few of which that have made their way in. Dylan Wheeler right now going to be going right by Mac Grab, and on pit road, looks like right now Dana Van Meter going to be passing by, and just like that, looks like Shane Wheeldon right there too. Of all those who have gone down a pit road, most of which are not in the front of the field, let's check out who has gone in and when they just went. Overall stint time will tell you this much. Scott Erickson in 20th looks to be the next culprit. However, for the time being, it looks like Erickson is off the circuit, and the reason that it says his stint time is so low is simply because he disconnected and bowed out. Scott Erickson right now actually has returned to the circuit, Now on the way to number 50 goes again, and so Scott going to be a lapper who made his way down in with 50 laps on the table out of 100. Now the right side of your screen will tell you who comes into pit road and when they come into pit road. Lap since last pit for Jacob Wilkerson, 51. He's gone the majority of this race so far without having to head down to pit road, and so with that being said, he'll have to eventually, and of course that time is running out. 50 laps remaining. He's gone 50 laps so far, so if he runs this stint as he did last, he should be in the clear to come home without any trouble. And most likely, he'll be the man that heads to victory lane if he holds it consistently ahead now of Jordan Owens, because Jordan Kuntz has fallen out of the top two, and it looks like Kuntz now might be able to fall in the clutches of Alec Daffman and Matthew Weeks. And you can see now Kuntz, well, bad news again. He's now fallen down into fifth. And it looks like the long run is catching up to Kuntz, and he is slipping back rapidly. This will bring Alec Daffin up into third. Jordan Owens is up in a second for the first time in his career, and it looks like for the rookie making his very, very first start here in Atlanta, well, done a great job and is now up ahead of all but one driver, Wilkerson, who still seems rather confident in what he's got ahead. We'll see when pit road becomes a big deal for the leading drivers, as you can see now. Oh, Jordan Kuntz slides into pit road, and Jordan Kuntz has trouble. He drifts down a pit road, and was that from the track or from pit road itself, the entry? Well, we're about to find out here, as Kuntz is not going to bring out the yellow flag. However, he hampers his chances for a race victory that much more. A drift, no trouble. Now, luckily, that was not going to be a penalty for the 99 and did not throw a caution on the field automatically based on iRacing standards, and so the field, including Vinny Tigner, Connor Asbell, and just behind them, one additional driver, well, they all come through together, and it looks like Kuntz is now going to have to recover big time if there's any chance for him to remain in victory lane for a second straight week. He's got to drive hard, and he's already returned to the track with 47 laps to go. Jacob Wilkerson so far has not gone down to pit road yet. And it looks like as he remains in the lead, that's signal enough that he is staying out. Gino Marrow going to be side by side with him, and Gino is not going to have any form of stopping through. Instead, he's going to let Jacob Wilkerson fight him side by side. Luckily, of course, Wilkerson does not get involved with any trouble in that instance. And now we see Jacob making his way through for 46 laps to go, already in a great picture, of course, to go all the way. Putting it into perspective, Jacob Wilkerson could have gone down about 6 laps ago and already be cleared to go the rest of the way. If he were to go 55 plus laps for another stint, he'd go 10 laps over. And that would mean he'd be prepared for more than 2 overtimes if absolutely necessary. It's going to be now Wilkerson, Owens, and Daffin, the overall top 3 on the day. Jordan Owens, it's been a very quiet race for him, but in all honesty, it's been one of the most impressive races of anyone in this field. For the number 45 crew, it's a move up from 6th to 2nd here, and it looks like runner-up position is held rather firm. He's got no trouble, of course, defending upon a guy like Alec Daffin, who was more than a second out from him, and no question about a guy like Matthew Weeks or Jackson Van Pelt. But instead, he's only got one driver ahead of him, and that is, well, Jacob Wilkerson. And with Jacob ahead, right now, Jordan Owens will continue to go his route alone and not have to worry about working with any other driver. He's just got his own pace. He'll run it consistently, and that will lead him to enough success to potentially land on the podium, maybe the middle step of which, if it all comes to plan. 43 laps remaining. Biggest mover so far in this tentative circumstance. 23rd to 8th, James Bowden. He will go right down and in, and it's going to be 26th to 9th for Tyler Seaver here, but of course, these are drivers who have not yet hit pit road, and it looks like now Tyler will with Roger, both of which making their way in, and the family affair drops down to pit road with 43 laps remaining. So now Jacob Wilkerson going to make his way in the number 42 for another lap. This will be his 58th 8th of which up to 59 if he completes this lap. It's an interesting plan right now for Jacob, and I'm not quite sure what it entails. But for now, it looks like indeed he's going to do things much different than expected, trying to run long. The no-stop strategy, mind you, it's not possible. It looks like he's maybe waiting to have a little bit more time to potentially go for a much shorter and more aggressive stint. That could work out. But right now, it's an interesting risk to be taking, as it looks like Jordan Owens, the second-place driver, he's now going to have an opportunity to go down a pit road. He signaled himself in and will come down with 40 laps remaining. Jordan Kuhn's going to fly right by. However, Kuhn has already gone down to pit road himself and is 1 lap down in 8th. Majority of the field going to be at least 1 down for the time being. And as Jordan comes in, well, Jacob decides to stay out. So as the 42 is going to leave the 45 down there and in. It looks like a second pit stop there for the number 77 of Tyler Seabear. And further on back, David Tooker not going to be with us. Alec Daffin, he's gone through. But Jackson Van Pelt, it looks like he will head down to pit road this time. And Trey Holmes will go with just ahead of him. So Trey Holmes coming in for the 4th position here. Another great run from Trey in that number 88. It looks like tonight the long run has really not been beating him down as much. And Jacob Wilkerson instead now is going to flash the signal. He'll make it into no trouble. And it looks like now the number 42, one of the last in the field to opt to go to pit road. This will instead bring Matthew Weeks up to the top of the charts. Let's see what Matthew's got in his sleeve up next. Matthew Weeks due up next to pit road with 39 laps to go. As he makes his way now through 3 and 4, slowing down, it is clear it is his time. And so Weeks will opt to make it in, sliding loose, but he keeps it together. And that will bring now Gino Marrow up to the front of the field. Gino getting a chance now to lead the way, and taking a look at how long he's been on his stint. It looks like 18 laps, so Gino is the overall leader, then Ben Bushnell, but Jordan Kuntz once again having a chance to take the lead now over all those who have decided to go in, and it looks like Jordan going to benefit from the undercut heavily. 9 laps the advantage. However, taking a look at the overall intervals, the gap between he and Wilkerson is 8 seconds. Can Jacob Wilkerson make up 8 seconds in 38 laps? Remains to be seen. Jordan Kuntz now looking for 2 consecutive victories, has to deal with a little bit of lap traffic and a leader just ahead of him to get back up to that top spot. Overall, Vinny Tigner now going to find himself in contention for the top 3 positions. He gets by Ben Bushnell here, he could be up into net second, and of course that's if he gets by Gino Marrow. All the same, Gino right now going to be holding that race lead, but his lead is shrinking quickly. Rapidly, in all honesty, and it looks like now there's very little chance for him to hang on, as Alec Daffin is also coming up on Vinny Tigner. And now Matt Grab going to see the number 48 machine of Daffin cut right low, and Vinny knows now there's very little room for him to run, as it's a continued chase now. The number 48 machine of Daffin cuts to the inside, and here we have it. Battle for net second. They're both going to be on the podium here if they can just get by Gino Marrow and Ben Bushnell. But it looks like Alec Daffin would like to be ahead, and the 48 machine dives low, takes a spot, and now tries to bring Matt Grab right there with them. Mack in position to make it by the number 12 of Vinny Tigner if he can just cut low and come through with some momentum. Momentum has been the name of the game here so far in Atlanta, and it looks like, in all honesty, the advantage for those who have utilized the momentum has been clear. Some drivers who have been a little bit more passive with their defense have succeeded. It looks like right now the cycle is not going to favor guys like Trey Holmes and those who just went in, but instead those who went in a longer time ago. The undercut looks to have the short-term gain. Now we got to wonder who will have the long-term advantage. And of of course, the long term is what these drivers will have to think about with 35 laps still left in the picture. More than a quarter of this race still remains ahead of us. However, now it's going to be a very short sprint. Even with 35 laps in mind, those laps go rapidly. Even if drivers, of course, do not see a yellow flag, it will be done and done before you know it. Trey Holmes is among the many that really have to pick things up. Dana Van Meter from 20th up to 11th benefits strongly from this overall down run to pit road. Made it in, got through, and a pit cycle to, of course, be proud of so far for Dana. Just outside the contact, of course, that he saw in the opening laps, lap 1 and the restart with Carter Casey. Dana's been able to get through and hold his own, and now comes up on Dylan Wheeler, who's got Jordan Owens going right under, so Dylan gonna have to give up the spot and fall back to 10th, where he qualified to begin the day, but he's not gonna give it up without a fight here. You can see the number 22 going up top now on Jordan Owens. And running down the back straightaway, still, Jordan will have the advantage with 33 laps remaining. Gino Marrow only holds the race lead now. No longer. It looks like 2/10 up for Jordan Kuntz. Has him ahead over Alec Daffin and Vinny Tigner, who are net second and third. And it looks like now they have Jacob Wilkerson coming up on them. Jacob Wilkerson is up into 7th, and now he's coming through on Connor Asbill and Matt Grab. Let's see how quickly he can make these passes. And there's one. Up next is Matt Grab. Wilkerson now going to be up just behind the back bumper of Vinny Tigner, and within a lap's time, he's gone from 7th up to 4th. He just got by Vinny Tigner effortlessly. And take a look inside the cockpit. You think he's cruising? He just took his 3rd spot in a lap and a half. Alec Daffin better watch out now, because it looks like while he might be still in position for a podium, top 2 would be in jeopardy. 31 laps to go. And so the final 30 are going to be in the picture here. The number 71 of Gino Marrow running up in net second, but it looks like now Alec Daffin going to begin washing him down the order. There's the number 48 machine taking it to the inside, and it looks like now as he makes his way through, well, nothing else to worry about for Alec. However, Gino Marrow knows this is more than likely a sign of things to come. And now the gap between Jordan Kuntz and Jacob Wilkerson comes down to a total of 2.5 seconds with 30 laps to go. Overall, it looks like Alec Daffin has been able to keep himself up in the top 2 despite falling a little bit further back on that previous run. But Jordan Kuntz is losing time, and quickly, relative to Jacob Wilkerson, who has been gaining, and he's been on the full assault, momentum-wise anyway. However, Jordan Kuntz has to keep looking back in his mirror, because now Alec Daffin, Jacob Wilkerson alike, they are making their way through, and they are looking to bring a battle to the number 99. Look a bit further back. How do we look now at Henry Kaloff in that battle again with Dylan Wheeler? These two drivers have been side by side for the majority of the night, one way or another, and you can see once again, that's exactly what they're doing, battling neck and neck, toe to toe, and it looks like Dylan Wheeler going to have to give it on up on the middle of the circuit. He'll go side by side for only a few laps again, and he'll have to give it up to Henry Kaloff, who now moves up into position number 10. Kaloff back inside of the top 10. And we'll see what he can do from here, as a few drivers who are still falling down rapidly are due to give up spots. Matt Grab is still in 7th. Connor Asbell is in 6th. Gino Marrow is overall still in 4th. So even though right now these drivers, in all honesty, they do find themselves up in front, there's still a lot of time for them to lose positions, as much as the rest of the field has time to continue gaining. 27 laps to go. Gap between Wilkerson and Kuntz now going to be 0.7 of a second, and it is still diminishing rapidly over the last 4 laps. Take a look at how that lap after lap progression has been. Huge advantage right now for Jacob Wilkerson. He's gone from 2.81 seconds back, 4 laps to go, to now being within 3/10. In all honesty, Wilkerson looks to be the clear favorite here. He just has to figure out how he can make it by the number 42. That is still up for grabs. The position up in front, the leading position. Jacob Wilkerson now going to be going up top side. He's got the advantage of momentum, and it looks like now he is due to use it. Telemetry is going to show you exactly how quickly Kuntz has been looking at it, and it looks like now Jacob Wilkerson up top. He's moved up high, and he is clear. Wilkerson with a race lead, and he gets the pass with 25 laps to go, and Jordan Kuntz can do nothing but watch as Wilkerson barrels down the back straightaway, and he's got the race lead all to himself. Now coming around with 24 remaining, this is it, the home stretch. Wilkerson just has to remain calm until the tail end. So, it looks like now Alec Daffin might have a chance to take it from his former teammate and move up in a second spot here. Overall, it looks like Jordan Kuntz would still be on the book for a third place finish, even if Alec Daffin got by him at the rate of decline he's going at. He's still got about 5 seconds himself ahead of Vinny Tigner. I don't think he'll have to worry too much about what's going on behind him, but instead, he'll have to focus on keeping the battle alive as Wilkerson leads with 23 laps to go. With 22 laps remaining, we're going to crank it up courtesy of the best camera providers on the iRacing market. TrackCams22.com for high-quality iRacing cameras for broadcasters and users alike. Visit TrackCams22.com or Facebook.com/TrackCams for additional information. As we get things loud now with 22 laps to go, let's crank it up, courtesy of our friends at TrackCams22.com. 16 laps to go. As it stands, the number 42 machine of Jacob Wilkerson, well, he's got the lead as anticipated, and it looks like indeed Alec Daffin is up to second. Further on back, Jordan Kuntz remains in third, and it looks like he'll be able to hang tough and keep himself in third for the rest of the day. Now, of course, with the number 99 crew, I'm sure they would have loved to come back for 2 consecutive victories, but tonight, it looks like that will not be the case. Now, next week might be another track that plays to Jordan Kuntz's strengths, and of course, we've seen so far this season some very familiar tracks have helped out the majority of the field, and notably the veterans. But up next, we go to a track which we have not seen on the schedule ever before in league history. It's going to be Kern County for 150 laps. Last time we went to a short track of that sort of nature, it was 5 flags, and what a race it was at that circuit, which came down to the wire involving Jordan Kuntz in the battle for the win, Carter Casey's return race, and while tonight Casey has not done well, admittedly, he still finds himself very far back overall, running in 18th position. Well, maybe he comes back and shows us all what he's still got as one of the short track drivers who have seen previous successes. 87 laps in now, out of 100, and time has been flying with Jordan Kuntz in command. And then, of course, giving up to Jacob Wilkerson, and it looks like Jacob has been able to hold his own ever since that point. He's not looking to relinquish that race lead. I think now he's rather comfortable exactly where he is. Number 42, Wilkerson here with a baker's dozen remaining. Look further back, it's going to be, of course, Alec Daffin. How about we see the hornet's nest of the field right now? And we mentioned Trey Holmes would have to dig deep to get some spots. Well, that he has. Trey right now is going to be scored in the 9th position, and he's looking right ahead of the battle between Matt Grab and Connor Asbell. These two drivers have been going at it ever since they were up in front battling for the lead. And if Trey Holmes still has enough speed in him, well, I'll tell you this much. I think now the question becomes whether or not Trey can get up inside the 7th spot and maybe go a little bit further. Holmes now finds himself gaining on 2 more drivers, and starting tonight in 12th was, of course, Dylan Wheeler. Starting a little bit further back, Trey Holmes, well, he was right in the mix with them, and now it looks like Trey's got a chance to make it up more than 5 positions at a low of 17th early in this race under green, and ever since then, it looks like he's been able to turn up the jets and get away from all of the action and all of the, of course, somewhat aggressive driving further on back, and instead carve out his own niche, and he's up there with 11 laps to go. It looks like not worrying at all. 22nd up to 8 either way. Matt Grab has made an incredible race for himself. He's gotten up 14 positions, and now as you look on from the rear end of the number 53, you'll see he's still holding off on Connor Asbell. Right now, Matt Grab looks like he's getting away ever so slightly. Connor Asbell looks like he's getting swallowed up a little bit quicker, and Connor will have to watch out because although he's had a little bit of a buddy in the form of the number 53 all night long, it looks like he's going to fall back to Trey Holmes quicker, and he'll do so first. Matthew Weeks is not done hunting for a podium, which would be his first of the season, while Jordan Kuntz right now is relatively far and away. It doesn't mean the job is over, and in all honesty, I think now Matthew Weeks knows he has to charge to make it up there. The gap now going to be 9/10 of a second. 9/10 remaining with 9 laps to go. Time is ticking, and maybe now it's an opportunity for Matthew Weeks to make it up inside the top 3. The battle last year in Atlanta, the most important of which came down to these 2 drivers, Matthew Weeks and, of course, Jordan Kuntz. Jordan, 2-tire strategy with less than 5 laps to go, hoping to make that risky gamble play out to overall get the championship. Couldn't get it. And it came down to Matthew Weeks having one of the best drives of his career. 3 wins in that playoff picture, plus getting it done in Atlanta ahead of Jordan Kuntz. Matthew Weeks made sure that he came on late and he came on strong. Even though he was not the most dominant driver for the entirety of the season, he came alive when it mattered most and showed exactly why he was a championship contender to start with and why he is a defending champion to this day. And now it looks like defense for Jordan Kuntz is going to be the top priority here. Laps are ticking down, but Kuntz right now has tires that are shredding a little bit quicker than those of which around him. As Matthew Weeks is going to go up to the top side, you'll see right now Kuntz has been on his run for 41 laps, which is one of the highest tallies of all the drivers at the head of the field. And it is beginning to take a toll. And you can see now Vinny Tigner, he's going to be maybe one of those drivers additionally struggling as Matthew Weeks cuts down to the inside groove. And you can see there, Matthew gets the spot. That will move Weeks up into third. He is up 12 positions on the day. And it looks like with a Matt Grab falling back, it will give the official status of the hard charger now to Weeks. Oh, very close there with Shane Wheeldon. My, oh my, contact, it could have been twice over. And Jordan Kuntz, he just got messed up big. 5 laps to go. Luckily, no trouble comes of a lap counter, of course, with Shane Wheeldon. Now you'll see Mac Grabs and Trey Holmes going at each other. It looks like Mac is going to fall back into 8th here. And you can see Trey Holmes now up into 7th. Vinny Tigner, meanwhile, going to be just ahead. And it looks like he will be alone to the point where it's really almost impossible to get up there to him. 10 seconds behind on race leader Jacob Wilkerson. And this will be it. If the number 42 can just hang on for the final some 4.5 miles for his first race this season, Jacob Wilkerson now with a chance to get it done and come out on top. Kuntz now looks like he's going to be in 4th. Jordan Owens might be coming up, and it looks like the Jordans will have a double top 10. Owens right now coming up on Shane Wheeldon, and it looks like he's doing so rather quickly. Just about 2 laps to go. Kuntz and Wheeldon going alongside each other. But it looks like now Jordan Owens is up next to make a move and pounce on the opportunity at hand. He's going to be just within 2 car lengths now as he dives a little bit deeper. And it looks like up to the wall, there's Shane Wheeldon as the 45 of Jordan Owens makes his move and makes it side by side. Additionally, further back, it's going to be now Jackson Van Pelt and Matt Grab. Jackson just got through and makes up another position. Now with Mac falling a little bit further back, he will be in 9th and trying to hang on to the top 10 here. The only buffer he's going to have is Connor Asbell. And it looks like Connor right now 3 seconds up on Henry Kaloff, so very little chance that Henry gets up there and gives these drivers a run for their money. It looks like right now Henry is going to be in 17 seconds behind position relative to your leader of Jacob Wilkerson, and he's going to be 3 seconds back on Asbell. So it looks like both of these drivers should be fine. Last lap this time around for Jacob Wilkerson and the number 42 team. Wilkerson, what a night it has been so far. The number 42 crew, no doubt, showing why they were one of the favorites to begin with. He's raced at this circuit with IORA Cup Series drivers. He's done it before in this combination, and it looks like tonight, against the best of this field once again, outlasting with strategy and a raw speed. Finesse from lap in and lap out, and all 100 tonight show that Wilkerson was a contender for the victory, and for the first time in his SNT career, he is a race winner. Jacob Wilkerson will come home with the checkered flag and win here in Atlanta. Victory in the return to Peach State 150, and a driver who wasn't with us last season, well, tonight he gets it done and makes his first time in this league look easy. Wilkerson wins over Alec Daffin and Matthew Weeks to round out the podium. 4th from there is going to be just beyond Jordan Owens, and Jordan Kuntz concludes the top 5. It'll be Vinny Tigner in 6th and Trey Holmes in 7th with Jackson Van Pelt 8th, Mac Grab in 9th, and Connor Asbell there in 10th. 11th place on the order going to be Henry Kaloff and Dylan Wheeler's 12th with Dana Van Meter 13th and Gino Marrow 14th. James Bowden, the final 15 drivers to make it on the lead lap. 16th is going to be Benjamin Bushnell with Shane Wheeldon 17th and Carter Casey 18th. Roger Seaver and Tyler Seaver 19th and 20th. Then from there, 21st is going to be Scott Erickson, Tyler Curley 22nd, Jamie McKinney 23rd, Curtis Sabarin 24th, Tyler Shattuck in 25th with Kenneth Gurrell and David Tooker. The final of 27 registered tonight as Wilkerson burns it down. And Wilkerson will burn it down here in Atlanta. What a way to win it here for that number 42 team who have come in and come through on his very first start on the calendar. One caution today, the only one of which at lap 1, and ever since that point, well, the top 3 come out quite nicely with the checkered flag, not having to worry tonight in particular. Well, Jacob Wilkerson. Let's get a word now from your race winner tonight in that number 42. Of course, for Wilkerson, his very first chance to come around and collect the checkered flag here in Atlanta. He's done many things, of course, league after league, but tonight, Wilkerson, he's a winner here in SNT. Let's talk now to the driver who got it done, Jacob Wilkerson. What a way to come through, pull it together for the checkered flag, and it looks like in that final stint it wasn't even much of a battle, and your first start this season goes your way, victory lane. What was it like out there?
It was mainly just about saving tires this entire race, especially the right rear. It gets super loose over the long run. Jordan, he was pretty fast on the first green flag run. I knew I was faster than him as soon as I started running the top, and he started getting super loose or later in the run, and that's when I pulled away and came in for pit stops. I lost a few spots, and I was able to quickly charge back to the front and came out the winner.
It looks like tire saving one of the biggest things that got you up there in that first stint, and we'd have to ask, Atlanta, it was quite warm at the track today, so what did you use to sort of help you out with that tire saving? It looks like it got you in front of Jordan Coons even before pit road.
It was basically, I was just running the bottom most of the run. Like, it's best to, like, the bottom definitely saved more right rear and right front than how it is on the top in 1 and 2. The top in 1 and 2 is also pretty fast, but the top in 3 and 4 is just never going to work. And that's basically, as soon as I got out front, I just started running my own line. And yeah, that's how I was able to pull away.
And it looks like you pulled away tonight. You never looked back. Overall, of course, 100 laps on the day. And of all of those, you led a total of 45. Almost half the race exactly. It looks like tonight came to you quite easy. But next week is a track I'm not quite sure if you visited in other leagues. I know you've had a chance here in FTN at Atlanta before. But Kern County's up next for 150 laps. Wonder how that's going to work out, of course. It's an unknown for most drivers. How are you feeling about it?
I unfortunately do not own Kern County, so I won't be there next week. But whatever track they're going to after that, I'll probably show up to.
But with that being said, a great way to open your season here, Jacob, with a victory here in Atlanta. If anyone else you'd like to thank after tonight's event, we'd love to hear it.
Appreciate everybody for watching. Thanks to Vinny for putting this league together. This one's for PBR. Shout out to Zach Todra for giving me the opportunity. Thanks to my sponsors, Storm Sim Performance and Burn Rubber Racing Warehouse, and you for broadcasting, and fun race.
And a great race from start to finish here. Jacob Wilkerson collecting the victory in Atlanta. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Wilkerson on the move, and out, but we get a word now from Alec Daffin, who is, this is a complete turnaround from the start we saw last season to this one, Alec. It looks like this has been a beginning of miracles so far. Of course, relative to what we saw to kick off the year, it's a second place finish in your second race and 2 consecutive top 10 runs, and I believe almost 2 top 5s at that. Alec, overall, top 2 on the day, and you made a lot work out in that second stint to get to this point. How you feeling overall, gaining a total of 6 spots on the night?
Definitely good race. Definitely very Warren Alice. It was a tire management race. I think it was hard as hell to drive there, especially towards the ends of the runs. But yeah, overall it was a good race. Qualifying, a little mistake, lost a couple spots there, but still qualified top 10, which is good, and missed the junk at the start there. And then had some things go our way. Had a good pit stop, almost sped on exit. Story of last season, but got away with that, and then just managed the tires well. So it was a tire management race, and we covered that pretty good. But I wasn't sure really what to expect tonight because we had a lot of big names in here, and I was kind of struggling to find speed in practice, and got absolutely walked at the beginning of that first run. But we ran those guys down, and we were third, almost second when pit stop started, and then had a good pit stop, had a good last run, and brought it home P2.
And we noticed on that second run, you were able to make some major gains, as low as 12th throughout the race today, but you pulled yourself up inside of that top 5 contention before pit road, and it looks like you got out with a huge advantage on that second run, moving up to net second, and you kept yourself there. Your final stint time was a total of 41 laps, so in between guys like Jordan Kuntz and eventual winner Jacob Wilkerson, looks like going right in the middle was the perfect thing for you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I always like to pit a little bit later, but I guess based off everybody else, we kind of did in the middle tonight, which is good because then you're not on really old tires, but at the same time, you don't have to worry about not having enough time to make up the time you lose. That makes sense. So there's definitely good balance there. And yeah, in the end, we beat all our championship rivals basically. I don't know if Wilkerson's run the whole season or not. I don't even know if he's raced in this league before. Either way, congrats to them on the win. And yeah, but yeah, Carter, Vinny, and Matthew. Jordan Kuntz, Vinny Tigner, and Matthew Weeks. Those are all of our championship rivals last season, and they all 3 beat us last week, but we beat all 3 of them this week. So definitely a step in the right direction, and hopefully we can keep that going as the season rolls on.
And tonight, second place finish as we move on to an unknown circuit in Kern County. Short track racing, we've seen you having some of the best battles in this league before at those types of venues. Have you gone to Kern County before? Do you have anything you'd like to, of course, keep in mind about that event, or is it something brand new to you entirely?
I don't have a lot of laps on that track. I've raced the ARCA car on the truck there. I've 1 truck race there. I finished like 5th, I think, and then I ran a handful of ARCA races there. I think I have a couple wins, but like I said, yeah, it's definitely been a pretty new track to me. It's only been on iRacing for about a year, but it's definitely a track that burns the right rear tires, so you have to be wary of that. But yeah, I'm usually pretty good on short tracks, like 5 flags last season. I wouldn't say it was a new track, but still not super common track for this car, and we ran pretty well there. So they can just manage the right rear tire like we did tonight, and I have some of that short track success. I think they'll definitely be in the hunt for it.
And looking to stay very close to victory lane. He may be looking to go just 1 spot higher next week. Alec Daffin, second here in Atlanta. If you have final shout-outs you'd like to give, the floor is yours.
Yeah, first off, obviously I rejoined Shaw Racing towards the end of the offseason, so thank you, Shaw Racing, thanking to Cameron for bringing me back to the team. Hopefully I'm able to race with him at some point this season because it's been a while, so hopefully we can race with him here soon. Thanks to my Twitch viewers at Alec Daffin 48. Thanks Chevrolet. Thanks Carter and Vinny for everything they do with the league, and also thank you for doing the broadcast as you've done for a long time now. Appreciate it.
Well, Alec Daffin, second on the day here, runner-up position in Atlanta, and your best finish so far on the campaign. We thank you for stopping by.
Thank you, David.
Alec on the move with one more driver to speak of, and that is the number 11 defending champion in an opening podium for your campaign. Matthew, tonight you started 15th and you made your way up and you had to fight for it. Up to third in a long green flag run. There was no break or no compensation in between. It was straight up racing from flag to flag. Tonight, you came home inside the podium despite the troubles.
Yeah, I wish I qualified better. I didn't run any laps until qualifying started. I got here late, so really that was my first lap, and it was just a wing it. And I think qualified, like I said, 15th. So I think we had a warm up session. So I went out there and I drove really hard for 5 minutes just to get an idea. And then, man, we hit the track, and the car was really fast the middle run. But I paid for it late when I was driving a little too hard to get in track position. I think when I pitted, my rear was at 18%, so we was struggling at the tail end of that run.
And it looks like even with the struggles there, I mean, you were on quite a long run with tires laid on. The gamble paid off, and you moved up into third there ahead of a majority of the field. What led you, of course, in the position for taking the calls you did to move up so drastically?
There's been a couple league races I've ran here where I pitted earlier, and someone who ran more laps and pitted later beat me every time. So tonight I was like, okay, I want to run it out. I want to have the freshest tires so I can be on attack at the end part of that. So that was my main focus when we started that run, because I knew we were going to go long, because this league always has long runs. So I was like, that was my main thing. And then I just wish I qualified better. I think if I qualified better, I had something for Wilkerson for the win.
And it looks like maybe a chance to see that victorious pace come out for the rest of the season. Definitely a great way to get that momentum built up, Matthew. And with that being said, third on the day here, you gotta wonder, up next for our next race, of course, we heading to Kern County. It's a short track, and I'm not quite sure how you feel about it, but I'm sure all eyes for the field on what can be done for that 150-lap feature. You think there's a chance to go out there and go for the win?
I don't know. I've never raced that track. I don't own the track yet. I'll get it before we race. So it's going to be we're going to be learning next Saturday during practice. I can tell you that. Hopefully, I mean, I feel pretty good on short tracks. So I feel like we'll be up there. I don't know if we'll be a winning car, because I don't know how these other guys really race on the short tracks that much. So we'll see. I know we started off the season way better than last season, so we just got to keep that up.
And looking to keep on going here, the championship race just started, and Matthew, tonight, your first podium comes here in Atlanta. You have any final thoughts or comments you'd like to bring to us? We'd love to hear it.
Like I said, shout out to you every single time, man. You do this alone, and there's not quite a few people, that really do broadcast alone. So huge props to you for doing it. Carter and Vinny, they run this great league, and I have such a blast racing it. All my buddies that showed up tonight, I'm glad they're joining me to racing on Saturday. So shout out to all of them. Trey, Jordan, Tucker was here till he lagged out. I know Ethan's on vacation right now, so hope he tuned in on that good race. JV Designs on this beautiful purple scheme. This thing is one of the hottest schemes around, to let everyone know. And everyone that watched, hope y'all enjoyed that race. It was a fun one.
There we have it. Matthew Weeks coming around, third place on the day here in Atlanta, rounding out the podium. We thank you for your time.
All right, man. You have a good one.
And with Matthew Weeks on the way, we've gotten a word from all of our top 3 drivers. Matthew Weeks coming home in third. And of course, second place on the day going to Alec Daffin of the number 48. An eventual race winner, his first time in this series, Jacob Wilkerson, burning down the house and collecting the checkered flag. A great victory for that number 42 crew, and we're looking forward to seeing more of them. But next week, we know that Wilkerson will not be with the field as we head to, for the very first time in this league's history, Kern County Speedway, an exciting track and a relative unknown at that. And we're hoping to see some more exciting racing from Bakersfield, California, once we return next Saturday. Same time, same place on FTN. If you enjoyed coverage of Saturday Night Thunder, stay here on the channel as we'll continue to keep you up to date throughout the entirety of the season. I've been your host for tonight's broadcast, David Kreutz, commentating and producing, and we intend to see you there at Kern County as we leave the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway, host of the Return to Peach State 150. If you enjoyed, leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Your support is always greatly appreciated, and we hope you have a fantastic night.